Do we need to suffer in order to progress along our spiritual journey? I don't think so. I think a certain level of the journey, yes, that's necessary. But someone who's truly put in the work, who's truly uh, awakened to their true nature of themselves and of others, and starts to master themselves in various different ways, we don't need an atmosphere where we have to go through rigors and then hard lessons. What is more important for those kind of souls is an atmosphere, like I said at the beginning, that can support that higher consciousness.
Ever. Hi, Soul Family, and welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Haji, and this is amazing quantum jumping and astral travels. Our guest today is Krys. Krys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me. I have a lot to share, and I want to say thank you for creating this space for people like myself and others to share these experiences and provide an opportunity for humanity to expand their consciousness in a grounded way. So thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I'll let you jump straight into your amazing experiences, Krys.
Oh man. Okay. So I guess first and foremost, my work is designed to create an atmosphere for people to have a grounded human experience, but also one that allows them to progress their consciousness. So, in other words, to go above and beyond the traditional frameworks of reality. We all more or less start at the default setting, I would say intentionally from a higher part of ourselves, putting limits on us that aren't really limits, but are perceptions of limitations. And so my job here is to help people remove those limitations when they're ready so that they can expand their consciousness. Cosmic frequency is all about creating the atmosphere for the soul to advance and to continue on its journey. I always say that it's like if you plant a seed in the garden, it needs the correct nutrients, environment, and setting in order to flourish. Well, the soul, or what we truly are as the source, requires that same nurturing and care. And I think a lot of people assume that the soul is something that's all knowing and has it all figured out, has all the answers, but it's not really like that. The soul is really like a it's like a cosmic baby. It's like an ether baby. The soul is the source becoming aware of itself, but it really doesn't have an identity until it has experiences. And so it'll generate experiences to allow itself to come into the feeling or the illusion of separation as Haji, as Krys, as Tim and Bob. You know, as we go through incarnations, we gather information. And that information begins to formulate an ego. The ego and the soul for me are the same thing. A lot of people see them as separate, but they're not. The ego is just the source's specified identifier. You could say that, right? How it knows itself as being something other than the all that is, right? We are all the all that is. We get that point, but we also want to experience what it's like to be cat, a dog, a tree, human, a Pleiadian, whatever it is. So I just jumped right in there. But yeah, my work's designed to help people understand these things on a deeper level and to traverse the cosmos in a grounded manner, in a responsible spiritual approach. So yeah, we just went straight forward, huh?
Okay, so yeah, so I will just interact this way. So already I had like a big question. You mentioned Cosmic Baby, and I'm just like I'm literally reading a book right now with one of my guests to be called Babies Are Cosmic.
See, that right there. Wow. And the funny thing, I've never used those words together like that. So what that, see, right there, that's
And I'm
exactly,
getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps. Like, whoa, okay.
this is the work I do. This is cosmic frequency. It's all about, so right now you just had this experience, but there's an explanation of how and why that happened. And once you
Mm-hmm.
understand how and why things happen, then that gives you more control and more enjoyment in your life, because now it's not just random. You can actually have a more direct experience. So let's extrapolate what just happened here. We created this container. I go into my space. I start describing my work. I say cosmic baby. Now, on a 3D conscious level, I never knew that you were reading that book. But since we created a resonance between us, I'm picking up on the frequencies that are in your field, and you're picking up on mine. So we call this telepathy. But really, all that just happened was I was reading the ether, right? And I just happened to find those words and say them. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, if that's happening, good luck to you, because being in my head is not fun.
Well,
Get some armor on. Get ready to fight.
it's all good. It's all good. It's not, and usually it's only going to be, because that's the thing. People think like, oh, they can read my thoughts, or no. How it works is I don't know what's going on in your head. All I can read is the energy that's compatible for what we are engaging in right now. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like I know everything. I just know what I need to know when I need to know it, kind of situation.
Yeah.
So
that brings up something else, but let me get to the first question, well, the other question I had. So
yeah.
You mentioned that the soul is not all knowing. And this is a question that comes up for people when they're trying to figure out what this is all about. And they say, okay, if we are part of God, if we are aspects or factors of God, then we should be all knowing. When people have NDEs and other experiences and they go out, within a certain amount of time, all information starts to gradually come back. Like they literally just know everything, absolutely everything. So it's kind of hard for them to understand. It's like, why, if that's the case, why are we here to learn lessons if we already know everything?
Right.
And that comes up a lot. But then when you just said what you said, it reminded me of the idea that I had of like Pinocchio, where, you know, God is like Geppetto, and she, it being alone in the existence wants company. And so starts to like fractal off into like little, you know, make little babies. And purposely. So now this is the first time I really thought, okay, maybe this really is a strategic move of us being this blank slate soul, even though we have the capacity to know everything, to just start learning on our own, growing on our own, becoming our own individuals, so that it can have a family.
Right. I love that. Yeah, and that's a great breakdown. And humans are funny because we like to, it's like everything to a hammer, everything's a nail, right? So for humans, everything is going to be viewed and explained through the lens of of the human mind and what the human consciousness can perceive. So this word perception is really important. And I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to circle back because I'll probably forget a part of it. But why, if we are all knowing, if we are the source, let's start there. If we are the ether or the principle, why is it that we need to fractal off and have these experiences? There's like, the most simple way I could say this is, if you are the source and you are the all, then that naturally includes an experience of yourself not being that, right? You see what I'm saying? So in order to be the all, like the all, the source, the God, the thing, right? You're not like that. We're not like that because we are just sitting there blank and just nothing is happening. In the all, within the field that is the source, includes everything. That's why it's called the source, the all. So within that is the experience of not being that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we can know ourselves as a human being on this planet called Earth. But you know, we can also tap into the aspect of us that is truly beyond, truly just beyond. And I think what a lot of people, like when we go into NDEs, right? The reason that people have an expanded experience is because whenever they are in Earth, right? They're here conscious in this body, interfacing, going to work, doing whatever they do, eating food. You are part of a field of other people who are thinking generally the same thing. You go to work, you have a family, you do this, you do some hobbies. So you create the morphogenetic field that only has a certain frequency bandwidth, right?
Mm.
So it's like this. I use my fingers. When we're here in the body, when we're focused in this realm, we only know that we only know this much of ourselves. But we still have all the other fingers and then the arm and then the whole entire body. But most people are only tuned in to the pinky aspect. And within that pinky aspect is only a certain amount of information and data. So you can only experience what you can articulate from the information and data that you're getting and receiving, right? So when you have an NDE or deep meditation or any profound spiritual experience, what happens is you're no longer associating with just being the pinky. Now, all this is still here. All this is still here, no matter what space, what time, what planet you're on. We are always the all. We are always the source. When you have an NDE, though, the perception of what you are now shifts. You've now left this bandwidth, and now you have access to the information that is beyond or not in resonance with just this bandwidth. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whenever people cross over, now they can perceive more, they can see more, they can hear more, because the energy is more refined, but they're also not held back by the limitations of the 3D realm.
Yes. And then they also come back a lot of the times with paranormal psychic abilities, because they kind of have gone into that other frequency and maybe they haven't been able to kind of completely readjust to just the pinky.
That's it, you know? Yeah.
Okay. And then so the other thing when we were talking about being, because I'm just to let everybody know, when I have some of these interviews, I can always tell when I'm with somebody with high energy or a different type of energy, because your energy is just blasting me right now. I am like about to pass out.
Oh man. Well, I did just do some qigong too.
Okay, I feel it, and so I'm just trying to keep it together here.
Yeah. Well, I hope that's okay. I mean, I don't.
No, it's okay. It's not if it was bad, I'd be like, I gotta go, quick.
Yeah.
I don't play that game.
Good.
It's all good, literally. But we're talking about being in each other's like fields, and it also kind of reminds me of like when people talk about astral traveling or OBEs, and being in a space where thought forms become visual, like they actually can see what somebody was thinking 5-10 minutes ago or a year ago, and or what was in this room 2, 3, 30 years ago.
Yes.
You know, everything just becomes very apparent. It's all there. And so it kind of just makes sense that if you're on that wavelength, you can kind of, you might not see it, you might not hear it, but you're getting it. You're getting that download.
That's exactly it. That's so it. Everything is based on frequency resonance. You only experience what you are. You see what I'm saying? You don't experience what you want, what you wish for. You experience and you can perceive what you are in resonance with. You become more of the same. So the universe, the source, the divine principle is made up of vibrations and frequency. And through our perception, wherever we are at on our journey, we're only going to be able to see what we personally are vibrating at, you know? And then, so the higher you go in consciousness, the more refined the reality becomes. When I was just outside doing my qigong, this is one of my most favorite things to do is, you know, I can see the formless energy that is truly me, the ether. It's the most coolest thing. I love doing it. Just moving your hands. You saw me do a few things before we hopped on. But the reason I do those kind of things is because I am conscious that I'm not really this body. And I'm always looking to see how I can bring more of the source into this experience. And that is understanding the flows of the ether. Like, I don't see the ether or what some call God as something other than an invisible essence that is intelligent, that we can interact with as us, but also through us. So yeah, people are only going to see where they are. And that's why, like, when people talk about, negative entities and things like that, like, yes, but also you are in some way a frequency match for that experience, which is
Mm.
thing. It just is just what it is, So
Mm. And that was going to be my next question. What two different things in regards to what you just said about you can only kind of perceive what you are. The first being when people do have a hellish experience, or some people are hounded, like literally hounded by demons. Like if it's not your life, it doesn't make sense. But
yeah,
if it has happened to you or someone you know, then you're like, it's real, you know? So some
yeah,
people literally are hounded by demons. And then you also have the situation where, like for me, not that's not my issue, but for me, kind of getting this similar life situations that I personally feel have nothing to do with any part of me. And so
mm,
I just constantly just go, no, there's no way this is in me. There's no way. And I've even like completely isolated myself for some time, like probably years now, just try to detox and remove if it is in me. But I
yeah,
keep continuously kind of keep attracting racism or violence and like things that I'm just like, I just want to be sitting in a monastery somewhere, meditating and humming.
I'm building one.
You know,
Yeah.
so how do we explain that? Is it really just me fighting the fact that it really isn't me? Like, or are there times when, because the other thing I learned about this universe is convoluted. I keep saying
Mhm.
that word so wrong, but it's very complex.
Yeah.
And there have been times that when I was going through a lot of struggles, people were like, okay, it's your karma. And I'm like, there's no way you could be spiritually evolved and just say broadly, it's your karma. No, there's a million reasons why life can be hellish, you know?
I love this.
So,
Um, so I love that you brought this up because now this allows us to get into really the responsibility that we have, especially the more conscious you become, the more information you get, which means the more options you have, but also means the more responsibility you have, right?
mm,
So, like on one level, people just chilling, nothing, there's nothing bothering them. They're just eating their food, watching their shows, and they're just great life, lots of just hanging out. For others, it's like when you wake up, you really see things for what they are. So,
mm,
um, what I want to talk about first is the astral. Okay, so let's just get this clear since this is about the astral and NDEs and everything. We have to come into a more grounded interpretation of what the astral is. Because for a lot of people, the astral is something ambiguous, something that it happens when they go to sleep, or something that they experience in a profound spiritual event. Like for example, do you have like I'm assuming you have a bedroom
yes, I'm in
where
it.
okay, so do you have a living room?
It's all one. I'm in a studio.
Okay, so let's say you go outside the studio, there's going to be like an outdoors, right?
Mm,
Okay, so right now, but you're inside your house right now, you're inside your studio right now, right?
mm-hmm.
Can you picture yourself walking out the door and onto the street and seeing the cars and the people? Can you see that happening in your mind's eye?
Yes.
That's the astral. Right there. That's it. So the second you actualize that experience, the second you get up, you start to walk and you go do that thing, now it becomes physical.
Mm,
See, the astral is not something that's super far away. It's something that is everything is astral, everything is spiritual, nothing is physical,
mm,
or everything is physical. But you have to understand physicality as the coalescing and the densification of a thought form. So the astral is potential energy unrealized. Once it's realized, it becomes physical. All right. So I just wanted to get that clear. Now, everything is based on your thoughts and your frequency. Thoughts are a frequency. You or we or us as the source, again, we are the all. So within the all, there's going to be the experience of what some would call light and dark, which is really just a gradient. It's not really split down the middle. Those are the good guys, that's the bad guys. No, it's more of a fine line, right? It's all relative. So when you really start to wake up on your journey, you realize that you're in this realm. This realm does not feel like your home. It doesn't feel this is not my home.
Mm-mm.
I'm here on, I don't know how many years I got left, but I'm here on a visit and I'm going
A
back.
mission.
Right. I come here, spread the frequency, and then go. But let's talk like this. Imagine if you go to Japan. You got to learn the customs, you got to learn language to a degree, you got to what foods they eat, what are their laws. It's a whole other ballgame, right? Spiritually speaking, we have to understand where we are. We are on planet Earth, experiencing this perceived limited human experience, which comes with its certain parameters and thought fields or telepathic fields. A lot of people on this earth are not conscious. They're not even real souls to begin with. And so that means they're generating negative thoughts, negative things, negative energies all the time, just because they're in a spiral. They don't know any better. So what they see on the TV, it's what they see in the news. And so those thought forms become egregores, or they become, do you know what an egregor is?
Like a dark spirit, a dark thought form?
It could be bad or good, but it's a thought form that it becomes real because so many people focus on it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So in other words, we create the demons, we create the hells based on the collective thoughts that the mass of humans are having. Right. And so what this means is that if we are creating it, then we can also uncreate it. Right. And so a lot of times what you may be experiencing may not be coming directly from you, but it may be coming from your neighbor, from a friend, from the collective group that you're in, right? And so the name of the game is to be aware of your own energy, your own thoughts. And if you know in your heart that you're doing everything that you need to do, and then you're not suppressing really anything, you don't have to be perfect, but you're not really like hiding any dark energy in your body that you haven't addressed or whatever, then there's a good chance it's not your thought. It's not your feeling. It's not your emotions, and you're picking up on it. And that's it, So I know
Wow.
that was
No, that was great, and it's good to know this because, like I said, there's no one size fits all. Like with
right.
spirituality and with reality, so it's like a person could have a hard life because of past karma, like past life karma. They're kind of cleaning it up, right? And it could be that they chose it. And this is actually going to go into another question. So a lot of people also say you choose a harder life because you want more spiritual growth.
There you go.
I've had guests. One thing that people know that when they start spiritually seeking, they start hearing a lot of different, completely contrary stories. Some people will say there's a hell and you better da da da, and there's other people saying it's totally not real. You're making it yourself. So you hear a lot of different things. One of the things that I also hear is that we all are completely equal on the other side. That there's no hierarchy in the souls or in angels and things like that. However, I actually have a guest I'll have in September who, in his story, he says he literally saw like this massive, extremely strong soul. And it said that the reason why he was able to get all this power, and power being love, we're not talking about, thank God that God, creator has decided that love is like the supreme. So when I say power, it's just a very loving being, very bright, very enlightened.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah. So he said but the spirit said it got that from numerous very difficult earth lives. And that through that, through learning the lessons, getting past the lessons, that it started to become enlightened and it grew stronger. So from your viewpoint and from your experiences, which of those is correct? That we all are completely equal on the other side, or that there is different levels that you can attain as a spirit, or is it both? Because there's a lot of paradoxes out there.
Well, paradoxes are all reconciled when you realize that nothing really contradicts itself. It's all just a matter of perception. It's all relative, and one defines the other. When we start to think of paradoxes not as opposites that oppose, but as things that define one or the each other. Hot is only known as hot because cold, we know cold, right? So this is not a paradox anymore. This is a complementary way of thinking, right? So again, it's a gradient. So that's why when you say is it both? Yes, it's both because one defines the other one. You see what I'm saying? But is there a do we need to suffer in order to progress along our spiritual journey? I don't think so. I think a certain level of the journey, yes, that's necessary. But someone who's truly put in the work, who's truly awakened to their true nature of themselves and of others, and starts to master themselves in various different ways, we don't need an atmosphere where we have to go through rigors and the hard lessons. What is more important for those kind of souls is an atmosphere, like I said at the beginning, that can support that higher consciousness, right? Could you imagine, I'm just going to use Tesla because he's one of the only, well, there's actually a few, but.
Oh my God, you are freaking me out because one of my questions is about Tesla. Go ahead.
Of course. Tesla is an amazing, amazing soul. So Tesla, let's say Tesla was here right now in the physical, and the way that we know Tesla, and we put him in an environment like, I don't know, there was like no food, no money, like just down and out.
Put him in a project. Put him in a project.
Would he progress? No, there's nothing there for him. He would probably turn it into a beautiful oasis. But my point is, he would benefit much more from being in an environment that was able to maintain the frequency of thought that he was at. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I think it is. It's like there is a place in the journey where, yes, you need the hardship. But once you get past that, you really start to figure things out. You need an environment that can support you. I mean, you even said, I just want to go to a temple or something. I was like, I'm creating one because that's how you can be nurtured and nourished and spiritually progress. Now, I think the second part of the question was about what happens on the other side, right? Is it all?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that just because you're not in a physical body, that everything is like love and light and bliss. That's definitely not it. Because at least from my perception, your body is not the limitation of you. It doesn't really stop you from doing anything. It's just a projection of your thoughts and your consciousness, right? Like people self-heal all the time. If people are self-healing, why do they stop there? Why don't they continue on that thought process and practice things like telekinesis, teleportation, remote viewing, right? Because we can do all these things. And so whenever I hear the other side, I think there's a misnomer that the other side is something different than the physical. And it is, but when you're on the other side, you would also experience it as physical. And then you would see this realm as the ethereal. Because it's all frequency, it's all relative. So someone who passes away and they believe that Jesus is real, they were raised in the church, they believe in all these things, and they unfortunately they transition. When they get to the other side, those thoughts don't go anywhere. Those belief systems are still there because our beliefs and our thoughts are not held in the brain. What they're going to do is they're going to generate another experience where Jesus is real. They go to church every Sunday. But it's true on the other end. If someone has the belief that, we're all one and it is all rainbows and sunshine, and that's a very deep integrated belief system, they leave this collective body of humans that we call planet Earth, and they go into wherever they're from, they're going to generate that experience. We only go to the vibrational and frequency match that we're at. That's what happens, in my opinion. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's both.
Awesome. That means I'm going to a place with unicorns and rainbows.
Yes.
Music all day.
All day. Yeah, you really are. Yeah. Yeah.
But so I mean that kind of brings up another question. Well, let me ask the first question about what Tesla. So something told me to ask you, like, do you have any idea what Tesla meant by 3, 6, and 9?
Oh
Have
man.
you ever looked into that? I'm just curious. You
Yeah.
don't have to have the answer.
Oh, if I don't have the answer, I will say I just don't know. But this one I actually do know a little bit about. So
Okay.
um, that's so funny. Yeah. So what did he mean by 3, 6, and 9? So first off, I have to say this, that most of modern spirituality is highly controlled. This is why a lot of my work isn't designed for mainstream. It's designed for people who have gone beyond the contemporary thinking of the New Age community, right?
Mm.
And ironically, a lot of those people are people who've had like NDEs and things like that because they've broken out of like the
The
box anymore.
Matrix.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
one of the most misinterpreted quotes was Tesla said 369 is we need if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you understand vibration, frequency, and I think resonance. Um, and then the mystery of 369, but it wasn't just 369, it was 36912. So
Mm.
but they dismiss the 12 because the people who want to control the narrative of awakening on this planet know that if you give base 12 uh, understanding to humanity, that's the key to unlocking true freedom. Now, true freedom being something that you can experience tangibly, not just in your meditation and then you go to your 9 to 5. That's
Mm.
freedom. That's liberty, right? Liberty and freedom are two different things. So 12, so you have to think of numbers like this. Numbers are frequencies, okay? They move, like if you just move your hands like this for a couple of minutes, your fingers will
Mm.
start to vibrate and tingle. You can try it if you want.
Like the last dragon, he starts glowing, right?
No, exactly. Why do you think they put that kind of stuff in the movies? There's a method to it.
Love it. Mm.
So a movement like this, your hands will start to tingle and they'll start to vibrate. And then you can actually
Mm.
utilize this energy to heal your body, to do telekinesis, to do all kinds of different things. But when you're doing a movement like this, what you're doing is you're creating a vibration or a wave with a crest and a trough in the medium that we call air, which is really just ether. It's really just life force energy.
Mm.
So numbers and shapes do the same thing. Numbers and shapes move and create crests and troughs in the ether. When you use specific numbers, they create resonance, meaning that there's a pulsing or a reverberation at the crest, at the top point. Okay.
Mm.
And at that top point of that etheric wave, once it continues to repeat over and over, it's the same pattern. Boom, 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 boom. That's where we get physical matter from. That's whenever the ether becomes solid.
Mm.
With that understanding now, specific numbers are designed to influence more of the crests, and others are designed to influence more of the trough. When you put them together in a specific way, you get numbers that are etherically based, or let me say negative charged and positively charged. When you add the negative and positive together, the masculine and feminine, boom, you get a spark, you get reality, right? You get
Mm.
movement. So when you take out the 12 out of the 3, 6, and 9, you're only getting the positive side or the materialistic side of reality. You're not getting the negative side or the etheric side.
Mm.
So base 12 mathematics and comprehension back into society. We think of the Fibonacci sequence. What is it? 1, 2, 5, 8, 13, something along those lines.
Mm.
Those represent the physical side, the manifest side. 3, 6, 9, 12 represent the etheric side or the negative side, the negative charge.
Mm.
When you put all those numbers together, you get life. You get a generated spark. So
Mm.
yeah, this topic gets deep, but that's what comes to mind with 36912. We need to add the 12 in.
Now, is the negative side female or masculine? Is it female?
Yeah, the negative side would be considered female, but I really don't. It's like the best way to describe. It's more of like if you think of just negative and positive as like
Yeah,
polarity,
yeah, yeah.
same. Yes, it'd be considered negative, feminine, positive, masculine.
So
So
does it tie into the fact that we went from a matriarchy to like, patriarchy, like what the female goddess divine has been taken out of this our current existence?
now we're talking. And then if we go further with that thought, so yes, if we go further with that thought, oh man, it's frustrating because that whole concept has been hijacked to turn into like all these like sexist wars, male versus female, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not it. This is a very simple concept, my friends. This is females as in like the woman, right?
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm not saying that to put women down at all. I
Mm,
love women. I think they're amazing. I think men are amazing. I think human beings are amazing. I'm looking to bring it back to the roots of what that meant to begin with.
mm,
We could also say that the ether was taken out of society. And what
mm,
we're talking about is we started to use shapes and numbers that did not include the flow of consciousness. We literally
mm,
boxed ourselves in so that the ether or the source or the feminine principle, however you want to say it, could no longer flow. Another example is okay, the base 10 counting system doesn't include
mm,
the flow from the ether. A lot of the silverware that we use, like a lot of the dishware that we use to eat, it doesn't have life force. It actually depletes any energy that would be in our food.
mm.
A lot of the tools we use to garden actually deplete the soil and destroy it because it's not pulling from the ether. It's like stale. It's sterile.
Yeah.
So these are all ways in which the divine, whether we want to call it, I don't care what people call it, masculine, feminine, it's the principle where the principle has been taken out of society, out of human experience. So
Yes. And the next question, like I'm doing this all on the fly because I don't usually
that's
use this
great.
whole
Go
because
for it.
I really want to get to your stories. Like I love to hear stories, and I know you have a lot 'cause I've heard some of them. So
Oh,
let's not complete this until you tell some of your stories.
okay.
But
Yeah,
um,
we're doing great on time. It's only been about a little over a half hour, actually.
good, good, good. I've had them go for 3 hours, so it's I don't know if you looked at my channel.
Oh, really? No.
I'm almost passed out. They tapped out. They're like, "Why am I still here? I need to eat. I need to drink."
Wow. Oh, let's roll then. Yeah, yeah. All
But
right.
the I wanted to like as you're speaking, and I'm just gonna because I'm very open and especially about this kind of stuff. On my land, I have land upstate that I not at right now. I can't really be around for certain reasons, whatever. But my land is sitting there,
Mhm.
and one time when I was working on it, out of nowhere, and I'm not like I'm spiritual and I have had experiences, but it's not like it's all the time. Like I really am just living my life.
Doing
But I had this vision. I had this very weird vision where I saw a female, almost like she was a tree, like she was either in a tree or she was a tree itself, and she was like bound, like her mouth, like she couldn't speak.
Hmm.
And I felt like it. I guess the feeling that I had was that it was Mother Nature or something like that, or some kind of divine feminine that was kind of being taken, suppressed in some way. And it was just such a weird and random thing, but it was very distinct. I never told anybody about it, but I'm getting that whole visual again when you're talking about the divine feminine kind of being pushed out of everything, that ether, that negative flow.
Yeah.
Um, and it reminds me, so look, it brings me into a question. I hope you have information on this. If it's not, it's fine. But I feel like there's something to trees. Like I've always loved trees. As a kid, I was scared of them because I knew they were alive. Like I literally would be freaking out, and they'd have to like. I was a
Like,
very weird kid.
yeah.
I was a very weird kid. Like they said, I was scared of water, trees, dirt, sand. Like I'm like, it's alive.
Yeah. It's funny. So yeah, what's your question about the trees? First off,
So
yeah.
so one thing that I see a lot in the NDEs is the tree of like the tree of knowledge, I guess, or I guess there's something to that. There's something there, and I just don't know what it is, but it's like it resonates and it makes me think of something that I can't remember spiritually, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So trees are, I have a theory that so you know how the wind blows, like it'll be super chilled and the wind will just start to pick up and like the trees will
Yeah.
start to go. I think that the trees move first, and the trees
Mm.
moving their branches actually creates the wind.
Oh,
No,
I like that.
that's my theory. It's like,
Mm.
we've been taught that the wind blows and then it blows the trees. But like,
Mm.
especially since I started to do weather shamanism and atmokinesis, which is basically airbending, and really
Mm.
with the wind and everything, I swear that the trees move and then the wind starts to pick up. And there's this one tree in
Mm.
particular, like trees are very telepathic. And
Mm.
we have to look at reality without the lens of form. That's a very important statement. We have to begin to look at reality without the lens of form, because it is whenever we see things in their form that we associate and then box things in. But
Mm.
the essence, the principle is moving through everything. It,
Mm.
it is that is communicating, not necessarily the tree. The tree, the body, the water, the star is just the expression or one expression of the principle. And so if we can get in tune with the principle, with the source, then we see it literally everywhere, right? So
Mm.
the tree, in my opinion, is one of the most connected sentient vessels that we have in the cosmos. If you look at the anatomy of a tree, it looks like they have, oh my gosh, dendritic. It has the dendritic,
Yes.
right? Like our
Mm.
veins have dendritic
And
pattern.
like the thunder too. No,
Under,
lightning. Lightning.
well, what
Mm.
what is that? I look for patterns. Well, why do my veins have the dendritic pattern? Why do trees have the dendritic pattern? Why is lightning? Why do leaves have it? What do all those things have in common?
Mm.
They pass information along, right?
Mm.
Your blood runs through your veins that have the tree like. So the trees literally are bringing forth life force and sharing it and dispersing it. So
Wow.
that's the intelligence. And when you sit
Mm.
under a tree, you're sitting in this waveform of consciousness that is moving through the tree. And it will talk to you. But it's not going to be like, hey, what's up? I'm Jim Tree. No. We have to look at through the eyes of consciousness and perception. It's more
Mm.
of an inner voice, an inner feeling that you can feel from the tree. Some trees have told me their name. There's a pine tree called Tiru that loves to, every time I walk by it, it like wants me to pick its pine leaves. I'm like, I'm good.
Oh.
Yeah. Trees are beings. The
Hmm.
life, the tree of knowledge, I feel like that's a way that humans as a collective associate with knowledge. Just really simple. It's like as a
Mm.
collective human species, we associate the Akashic records with libraries and knowledge with a tree, which makes sense because what
Mm.
knowledge is what? Information. And that's what you
Mm.
said, that trees pass along information from the ethers. So
Nice, nice. And to go back a little bit, so when you were talking about numbers and frequency and numbers, yeah, it kind of reminded me of, I think it's called synesthesia. Kind of like when people can see sounds and things like that. It also
uh,
reminded me of the matrix binary code. And then the other one is, it's not just the matrix binary code. There's the ancient African code. So you have all these different like codes that supposedly make up. Now, is it just the matrix that we're in, or would you say is all of existence? Like if we were on another planet right now, or if we were near source right now, that we'd still be surrounded by all of this,
huh.
you know?
So the question is, does the coding change based on the planet that you're on?
Yeah.
That's a great question. That's a great question. I I think it's relative. I do. I think it's relative, but it's like if you think of planets too,
Mm.
like there's other humans in space. There's always been other humans in space. Humans never originated on planet Earth. So with that said, if I am on the planet Sinjiro and I'm with the beings there, we will probably interpret reality at the frequency that is relevant for that planet. Will it show up as binary code? I actually am not sure. Is there a one size fits all for the perception of source? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's relative. I think that we can change it. I think it comes down to perception agreements. Like basically, most people in the cosmos would interpret this form of energy, this node in the ether, as a pen. But at the end of the day, this is still just potential energy, and it can change form if enough energy is put into it, you know?
Mm.
So it's a great question. I want to think about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a question that we have an actual answer to. It's just nice to think about it, like to kind of wonder, I think. So then it also kind of ties right back to the question I had about when you said that, like say for instance, a Christian who is believes in Jesus in a certain afterlife, that they'll experience that in the afterlife. So this is something that comes up a lot, and because I literally probably read 10 plus NDEs a day, and there's so many people who experience Jesus in different ways, and there are times that he just seems massively different, just massively. Like sometimes, most times he's loving and he's like, just light and love and hug. But there's times that he literally had a guy in a headlock one time. So I mean, like,
How do
my
you?
question sometimes is just who are these people? And I am a complete conspiracy theorist, so I go straight to
Hmm.
shapeshifter, this, that, like I just start to wonder who are these beings that are interacting with us, because a lot of it, from what I'm gathering in my research, holograms are real. Like, and it seems to be some kind of technology that aliens, we're still talking about the physical realm, we're not getting into the ethers or higher,
Right.
but physical aliens have this technology, and it's just like easy for them to create a whole
Mhm.
scenario, So I think some of these NDEs are just really all just that, these aliens playing with us. But there are also, and I'm going to going to let you go because I can feel your energy, and you want to say something. But
It's all good. You got
there
it.
are there are also some where, and this happens a lot, where there's this being, and a lot of times it looks like Jesus, who is kind of forcing both angels and whoever around them to completely just keep praying to them, pray like to the point where it feels almost like a king. It does not sound at all like what I've read Jesus to be, where it'd be like, no, bow down to me. When have you ever heard him say that in any kind of form, in any kind of gospel, anywhere? So is this being where it's just like, come, kiss my feet? I've heard two or three NDEs, totally separate beings, who were told by Jesus to kiss his feet, and I just was like, this can't be real. So I start to wonder, just knowing how energy works, you kind of go into like magic, and how energy is taken and sucked, and by certain dark energies because they don't get it from source. I started to think, okay, are there higher levels? We can, if you know the law of one, then you know that how that whole progression works, that you can be negative polarity up until like the sixth density or something like that, right? So I think that there are higher advanced beings who are using lower beings like humans for energy, as an energy source, by them praying to them like they're a god. It's not even a question, just say something.
This is spot on. I love it. No, you have great information too, so I'm gonna listen to you. Um, so this is one thing that I get a lot of flack for, is the whole Jesus topic, because it's not. I just I have a completely different perspective because of one, my own experiences, but also finding information that you're not gonna find in the spiritual community. You have to be at a certain point to actually come across this information, and I did. And yes, so let's cover this first. I'm going to cover the Jesus thing, but also the extraterrestrials. So first, before I get into the details, I don't think Jesus was one living man. I don't. I think that is a fabricated story passed down through eons for population control. Pause on that portion. Extraterrestrials and aliens. Yes, there are very highly advanced beings of human origin who have technology that are not on planet, who can create any kind of hologram. If you, man, when you really start to understand reality and the ether physics of things, like I said, this pen can change form. If you really understand what this is not a pen. We agree that it's a pen, but it's based in waveforms and a whole bunch of stuff. But basically, what I'm saying is there are people in other planets and star systems and on this earth who can project certain holographic thought forms. This is why it's so important for one to have a connection with source and with their own mind. You have to have a strong mind, because if most people, especially in the New Age communities, are not thinking their own thoughts. They're thinking the government's thoughts, who are deep underground and projecting all kinds of holograms and thought forms through the towers and everything that people pick up on. And they say, oh, I saw Saint Germain, or oh, I saw this. And it's like, yeah, you could have, but it's like, there's this level of I don't give any F's. I only want the truth that you have to get to, or else you'll be fooled every single time. Like for me, I'm like the most open skeptic. I don't believe anything till I've had a direct experience, or it's come from a deep place within me with no outside filters. But with that said, there are technologies that can project holograms and infiltrate people's minds. But those are usually only the weak minds. And we all know this. MK Ultra is one of them. And shoot, I mean, you think of buying a new pair of underwear, it shows up on your Facebook or your Instagram feed.
Thank you.
It's not really, it's not like this technology is like so far-fetched. It's just a matter of understanding how reality actually works and how the game is being played. So are these people who are having these NDEs running into frequency fences where there is a thought form being projected from the stratosphere, from a physical space above the earth here to trick people? I would say on some level, yes. On another level, are people simply picking up on the character Jesus passed around for eons for population control that's been so embedded into the human collective that it's another belief system, and based on how that person, you know, transitioned during their NDE, what their life was like, what their upbringing was like, they could have a beautiful experience with Jesus or a crappy one. But it's all based on their own internal thoughts and feelings and how they were raised and what they think is real or not real. Like things are not just like cut and dry. Oh, I had an NDE and now there's Jesus. It's like, yes, but also let's go deeper into this. What are your personal beliefs? What are your personal values? What do you believe is or is not real? You know, how conscious are you? You know what I mean? All these things play a role in what people see and experience when they cross over, whether NDE or actually, you know, die. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and there are the rare. Well, first, let me just say that my one of my last guests, Dennis Bullock, he said the same thing. He said that Jesus was not one man, like he was several. So I don't want to get into it now. It sounds like something that needs to be a whole nother show. So
yeah.
But you're not the only one who has said that. Just FYI. Can you go into some of your experiences, and in some of those experiences show kind of where you're getting these downloads of this information? You know?
Yes. Before I do that, can I say one more thing about the Jesus thing to just circle that up? So before I get into my experiences, again, humans love to project and personify the ether or the source. They love to give all that energy to one man, but they do not understand that this world and this reality is controlled by people and beings on and off planet that have an agenda to keep humans at a certain frequency. They're not interested in giving you the truth as much as they're interested in giving you narratives that make you feel good, but keep you hooked into their game. if you really want to be free, not liberty. A dog on a leash has liberty. A dog without the leash has freedom. If you really want freedom, you have to allow your beliefs to be challenged. You have to be able to look at things that you really feel deeply are true, like the whole Jesus thing, and ask yourself, does this really actually make sense, right? What if I told you this is actually perfect to go into my personal experiences? Oh, I love when this happens. So as a kid, here's my first experience. As a kid, I would draw this picture of me on a horse as a knight, and I would actually be fighting this evil king or this evil ruler, and I would literally, finish, take him out every single time. But it was always this ongoing battle I had with him, and I would draw it. And the king's name or the ruler's name was Nero, Nero. Now, I was 5 years old, probably till about 8 or so. I was drawing this over and over, this experience. I was raised hardcore Christian. I went to church Sunday, Sunday night, Wednesday, and sometimes even Friday, and vacation Bible school, right? So I know the Bible very well. I was at a Pentecostal church, Baptist, Protestant. So my religious background is very deep. And I think that's important for people to know, because how is it that I can have the experiences I did? If Jesus was such a real thing, how is it that I was able to move away from that experience and realize, oh, there's more to it? You know what I mean? Because I should be the most religious person of all time, in my opinion. So my whole adult life, I've been trying to figure out who Nero was. Who was this guy that I was drawing and going to war with, basically, and taking out. And I came across a video a couple years ago where they're talking about the true history of Jesus and how that whole story got constructed. And what they said was that back in the Roman times, when Rome was still in control, which it still is to this day, people just not going there. But that.
Hold on. You're saying, hold on. You're saying the truth that they don't want to hear, and all of a sudden it's starting to freeze. I don't know. Have I frozen?
No, you're good.
Because you froze.
Oh, I did?
Okay, hello?
Yeah. So.
Krys?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you now, but you're still frozen. So let's give it a, okay.
Am I good?
Yes. And it's because you were saying like the truth of all truths that they definitely don't want people to know, but you're right.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. And I say this from a very deep place. Like, the truth is the truth through and through, regardless if people believe it or not. It's just a matter of people are ready to accept it. I also say that this is said without fear whatsoever, because I know I'm protected. My STAR team is literally always with me. And they're not just ethereal beings. They are physical, just as much as you and I are. You did freeze again, though.